YouTube, and today I'm going to be showing you how to change all the parts in a toilet tank / cistern like this one. This is in the UK, so it may be different for the country that you're in. First of all, what you want to do is find the cold feed for the tank. There should be a nice layer on it. Turn that off and give it a couple of flushes. If there's not a nice layer on it, then you're going to have to turn off the water to the whole house. There is a video that I'll leave in the top corner now on how to turn the water off to your property, and then come back to watch the rest of the video. So with the water isolated, what you now need to do is you need to undo the bolts that are connecting the toilet cistern to the pan. These can sometimes be very rusted on, so if they are rusted on before you do it, I suggest spraying a load of WD-40 on it, leave it for a couple of days. Hopefully that will set in and do it. If not, you're going to need to angle grind them off, hacksaw them off, blowtorch, warm them up to get them off. Luckily on this one they come off nice and easy. So with them removed, put them to one side. You might want to keep them just in case you drop the new set, so leave them till last. Then what you want to do is disconnect this 1/2 inch thread connector onto your fill valve. So this sometimes can spin the fill valve actually in the cistern, so you've got to hold the threaded part and undo the nut. Just make sure you're not moving any joints and stuff like that further down the line. Once again, if you don't feel confident, do call a plumber. So with this nut starting to undo, make sure you undo it all the way, and the nut should go a bit floppy so it's not connected to anything. And this one has got PTFE around it. That doesn't need to be there at all. Don't worry, you don't need PTFE for this job. Follow to the end. Make sure you watch the whole video. There's everything you need in it, such as spanners, grips and a rubber washer. You just need the close coupling kits, fill valve and flush valves. So with that undone, what you can then do is put some tissue there, because there will be some water here. So not much, probably a cupful. If that, it's just what's in the pipework feeding up to the fill valve. So put that there ready to catch, and then you can then undo the fixings to the cistern. Normally there's 2 screw holes at the back of the cistern, but on this one they've just siliconed it to the back of the wall. We don't know why that is. Maybe there's some pipes there, so if they've not screwed it, there might be a reason. So it's sometimes best, like I did, to just put silicone back and not screw it. With that then cut and the bolts undone, you can then remove the cistern from it and carry it to the basin. You can just pull it straight in the bowl. I pulled it in the basin. Make sure no big lumps of rust or anything go down the plug hole. Just touch that before it goes. So now you want to get a towel like this. I use an old one that I leave in the van, and put it on top of the toilet seat, so you can then work out and carry the changeover on a flat surface. First of all, get rid of that cruddy old donut washer. Then you want to just loosen all the parts off. You know it's all safe to do so because there's no water now in the tank. So lefty loosey, righty tighty, you want to undo all 3 parts. You don't have to get rid of the overflow, because you can connect it back onto the old one, but for this install I'm getting rid of it and I'm capping it off, because the new flush valves these days have internal overflows, so you can get rid of the external one, but you can also connect back onto it if you want to. So I removed the fill valve, then undo this big nut for the flush siphon, remove that. With that removed, you can then remove the plate, and also the overflow gets removed as well. If your toilet isn't flushing properly or you have to pump it a couple of times, this will be the reason why. This plastic diaphragm has split, so it's not creating the maximum amount of force to siphon the water up and over, creating the flushing in the toilet. So that's why these parts need to be changed. With this siphon, it was a one-part siphon, so you can't actually change the part without taking the cistern off. If you've got to take the cistern off, you might as well change all the parts. It saves everyone money in the long run, and you get all fresh parts rather than just changing the siphon, and then a day later, a week later, half a year later, you have to change the fill valve, and then the customer or yourself has to pay twice. So that's why I always say just change them all, bite the bullet and do it now. Sometimes customers are like, no, I want to save the bit of money and just change the part. So this is why I've changed the overflow, because the washer on it started to perish. So I just changed that and used a overflow blocker to block that off. So we're using a Viva siphon, 3-part, so in the future if there's something wrong with it, you can actually undo the bit that has the flapper in it, I'm going to call it flapper, the diaphragm in it, and you can just change that part without doing this whole thing again. This is the new way now. So once again, nearly put the nut on before the plate, so you need a close coupling kit for this, and it comes with a flat plate, so you put that on. This is an 1.5 inch one. They also do come in 2 inch, so depending on your cistern, it might be 1.5 inch, it might be 2 inch. That's why plumbing, you've got to kind of bring a bit of everything, because you don't actually know what you're facing until you get stuck into it. So on this install, I bought, I think, 2 siphons, 2 fill valves, 2 flush plates, and 4 different donuts. You don't know the casting of the toilet, you don't know which donut it uses, you don't know which siphon's going to fit because it might be too big and you need a slim one, like a Dudley Edge. The fill valve, it might touch the back of the siphon, back of the cistern. So I've noticed before a fluid master actually rubs in the corner if the hole is too close to the corner. So sometimes a Viva 4-in-1 works. Plumbing can be a bit like that, so I've learned just to bring 2 of everything to get you out of every situation. So as you can see, I use the Fluid Master Pro with the Viva flush valve. Take the netting off, and then in this little bag there's your rubber washer, flow restrictor and your back nut. I don't use the flow restrictors, I just don't. I don't know why. Someone could probably leave a comment on why I should put them in. Maybe I'm going to jail or something if I don't put them in, but on this job I didn't put it on. Then to adjust the fill valve, you just pull that sleeve back, pull it up and down to the height you want, but you can also adjust it actually on the float at the top. It gives you a couple of inches with just a Phillips screwdriver. So next I put that in, no silicone required. With these, just a bit of manpower, tighten the nut up. So don't go too mad when tightening up, go tight, then also say give it half a turn to quarter of a turn and you'll feel it go tight. That's tight enough, just enough for the washer to bite onto the ceramic. That's all it needs. With the flush and the fill valve in, you can then reconnect your handle for your flush valve onto the arm, back onto the C-clip, and just give that a test. So now I'm just siliconing the back of the overflow fitting because the rubber on it is actually quite thin. I don't silicone the top because it actually squishes the overflow washer out and doesn't create a good seal, so I just do the underneath as like a secondary seal if the top seal has a slight weak, because the washer is very thin on it. It's not conical, I think they call it, when it's got a little edge on it so it bites into the ceramic. It's just a flat, cheap washer. So with this, don't go too mad, just so it's tight. It's all plastic and rubber. just checking it's not pushed out and it's definitely sealing right. So with that done, you're then nearly ready to put the cistern onto your toilet. You just need yourself a rubber donut. With this one I have used a studio donut washer, so that's quite a round one. You can get foam washers, you can get conical washers, but once again, like I said, these do come in 2" and 1.5". So this was 1.5" because the flush valve was a 1.5" thread on it, so you then need the same size plate washer to fit and the same size donut to fit that as well. So with them done, you can then put your donut you want on and lift that on. So sometimes you can put the donut straight onto the thread, but with this one you put it actually on the toilet. It's got a little indentation where the donut needs to sit that on, as you can see. Something else I like to do is change the fibre washer. As you can see in all my other videos, I always change the fibre washers because they're only fibre, and once they get wet they do tend to leak. So I change that for these Hep2O 1/2" rubber washers. I find that I've never had a problem with them, and when I go back to do tap changes and stuff, I've never had a callback, and you can reuse the rubber that's there another go instead of changing it again. So it's just a little thing in my brain that I know that it won't leak 99% of the time. I don't think I've had one leak. It'll normally be something else that's leaking and not that rubber connector. So with that then changed, you can then lift this on. Be careful that the bolts don't slide off of your flat plate. Lower it down so the bolts go through the holes in the ceramic and the other side, and check that the fill valve lines up with the pipe at the bottom. And you can start that off first. I normally, because that needs to be sitting straight, get that started a couple of turns before then tightening the bolts onto your bottom of your toilet, like so, as you can see. So tighten that on first and then tighten the bolts on so it's nice and level and tight. Don't go too mad because you will crack the ceramic. Just go tight so it bites onto the donut and that the toilet is nice and level with the old fixing holes, or like this case, the silicone sealant. So with that then done, you are ready to turn the water back on. So this is the inside. You got the Viva and the fluid master. So we're then gonna turn the water on to this. So I like to turn the water on, then lift the fill valve up just to test that connection there is dry. So I'll turn the water on, lift the fill valve up so it turns off, so it's up to its maximum pressure, just to test that connection so I know that connection's safe and not leaking. Because if you get a leak above that, it will drip down onto that connection and then you're worrying which connection it is. So you can test that straight away and you know that is safe and it's not the nut and O-ring above the fill valve. So with that then done and tested, you can then make sure that everything else is fine. So you let it fill, just keep checking everywhere, check there's no major leaks coming out everywhere. If you followed the steps, you should be fine. So check this overflow connection here, make sure that's all fine, and if you do see a leak straight away, turn the water off straight away and grab some towels, because it's only going to be the amount of water in the cistern that leaks out. So, and if it's quite a bad leak, you have done something seriously wrong. So with that then filled, you can then give this a good old flush, or you, like I do, is push the fill valve down and let it go over the overflow, so it's not 6 or 9 litres of water flooding everywhere. You've just got a tiny bit. On my finger there's just a bit of silicone that's squeezed out. So yeah, we're good to double check all these joints, make sure we're happy, and give the toilet a big old test flush. Here I'm just siliconing it back, that's the way it was before. I know that there's a power shower on the wall there, so there is pipeworks behind it to feed that. I don't know where it goes, I didn't install it, I'm just putting it back the way it was before. There's normally a reason. 9 times out of 10 it's because people are lazy and don't want to drill the holes, but you never know, there's always a reason. Same with my pans, I don't screw a pan down that I haven't fitted or run the pipework because you don't know what's underneath it. The same with here. So now I'm putting the toilet seat back on because it came off. It's already broke. The customer said it was broke, so it just slid off. So I've just put it to one side. As you probably did notice in the install that it disappeared. So just fitted that back on, and then once you're happy with everything, I say give everything 5 to 10 test flushes. Check the wing nuts underneath. Make sure there's no drips on that, and all the connections as well. And then once you're happy with everything, put the lid on and it is a job well done. With this one I said to not use it for 24 hours, just to let the silicone go off, because it will be rocking the cistern and then you might get a loose donut or something might come loose and start to leak. So for this customer, they had another 2 toilets in the house, so I just said if you can wait till the morning to use it. So just give it one final squirt of silicone just to make sure that it's definitely going to be sealed and not moving, and then you can put the lid back on and hand it over. So this is how to change parts in a toilet. Once I've said before, every toilet's different, there's hundreds of different ones. This may not suit your toilet. Any questions you do have, leave it in the comments and I'll try and get back to you. If you do know the brand of it, it does help a lot to get them parts again, like for like. But if this video has been helpful to you, leave a like and a comment just to say hi, and if it's been helpful. But for now, this has been Wallace Plumbing on how to change a toilet system. I hope you have a good day. Please subscribe to the channel and I hope you have a good day.